This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castabras.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 53. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. What have you been up to, buddy? Anything?
I've been scouring, looking for a hotel down in Bournemouth because I really want to go to the Showmasters Collectomania thing this weekend. But I left it a bit late. I wasn't sure if I could go. And so, I was sort of last few nights I've been looking to see if I can find anything for a decent price. Sadly, I haven't. They're all, because it's bank holiday, they're all sold out. But the reason I wanted to go is because one of the people that's going to be there is William Russell. And he's top of my list of people I want to meet.
Okay.
So, but I really want to go to that. There's loads of Doctor Who people there at this thing. Katie Manning's there, Nicola Bryant, Lila Ward, Camille Corduri, how'd you say it? You know, Jackie Tyler. What's that? Camille Corduri. Probably saying that wrong. Yeah. She's there. I'd love to meet her, wouldn't you?
She sounds like it. Yeah, looks like a good laugh. She does. Yeah.
Yeah, our old mate John Levine. There's loads of people. So I really wanted to go to this, and depending on when listeners are listening to this podcast, it's this weekend, the 29th to the 30th of August. But sadly, all the hotels are around the sort of £180 mark, and I haven't quite got that money, especially as I'm saving up for that eBay Liberator that's £33,000.
Oh, crikey. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I've been doing. Mostly I've been getting in from work, checking hotels and crying a little bit. So that's been my week. What about yours?
Yeah, my week is also, I also wanted to get a couple of convention tickets booked in.
All right.
And I wanted to book one of them, which you know about, and I can't believe it's sold out. I'm so gutted.
Oh, is this the one with Daphne?
With Daphne, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCoy's there. A couple of other people. It looks like a really good little one to go to.
Yes, they've added a few more people, haven't they? I noticed as well.
Yes. Which I'm not happy about.
But you've signed up in case something comes up. Yeah.
Yes, I'm hoping. So that's pretty good. I've not seen that on many convention sites before, where it's sold out, but then it says, pop your name down on the waiting list. So I'm assuming, like, if anybody cancels or can't go, they'll resupply some tickets. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yes. Also been answering some feedback from you guys as well on our last episode. As you know, we had quite the rant at the beginning, which lasted for approximately 18 minutes.
Gosh.
Which is not very approximate, actually, is it?
No, it's pretty
18
precise.
minutes and 22 seconds. So we had a bit of a rant, and then a couple of people got in touch, and thank you very much for doing so. So one of our regular listeners, Yanto Williams.
Yes. Hi, Yanto.
Yes, he made a good point, actually, and something that we should have I should have clarified when I had said rant last week. And he got in touch and said, the Forbidden Planet in Cardiff has the nicest staff ever. There is one guy there I've seen 3 times, the 3 times that he's been there, and he's really nice and helps you out with anything, which is really cool. And I replied to him to say that that my rant was aimed specifically at the London megastore for Forbidden Planet. I didn't mean to offend any of the other staff members who work at other Forbidden Planets around the country, because, like I replied to Yanto, I've been into loads of them, but the ones that I can remember, namely the Newcastle store, the new Birmingham one, and the one in Cardiff, those guys in there are actually very good.
Yeah.
And I have no complaints with those guys. And I'm sure that the other dozen stores that they've got as well are also good. I was kind of referring to those guys in the London store.
Yeah,
so
I know what you mean.
So just to confirm, I'm not saying that Forbidden Planet are evil and, everything's bad and everything's, negative. It's not like that at all. It really is just my opinion of the staff in that particular shop.
Yeah, your experience in that shop. I was going to say, because
Yeah.
there is one guy in the London store that's absolutely fantastic, and I always try and go to him if I can. It's just that unfortunately, and I've had the same experience as you. There has been a couple of times where I've gone to the customer service bit at the back and had really grumpy service. But I wish I knew the name of the guy that's good, because he's so enthusiastic. Like, if you ever go to the London store, just track him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I think we've had a few rants about Forbidden Planet, mainly about their online actually delivery, isn't it?
That's true, yeah.
Have the most problems with. But and also the fact there's two stores called Forbidden Planet that are totally unconnected confuses things as well. So yeah, it's all a big ball of confusion.
It is. It's a fusion of confusion.
Yes, it is. But
So,
yeah, nothing to rant about this week, have we? I think we're rant free, aren't we?
I think we are rant free,
Which is good.
pretty much, which is a good thing,
Yeah.
which is great. Yes, it kind of feels like an empty space now. We've got no rant, to be honest with you.
I was just thinking, actually, talking of listeners' feedback, I know a couple of listeners, Cousins in particular. Hello, Cousins. I know he's going to this Bournemouth thing, Showmasters Collectomania. If any listeners out there are going, do get in touch and let us know who you met. Send us pictures of who you met if you get them, or whatever. I'll be really interested to see it, and I'll be very jealous, of course, but I'll also, I'd love to see and hear from any of you that are going to it, and who you met and what they were like and stuff.
Yeah,
Because John Levine's there, and if you haven't met John Levine, go and meet him. It's an experience.
What
He's
a
brilliant.
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Just use our Facebook page and stuff as a dumping ground for all of your photos and all that sort of stuff. We'd love to see what you guys are up to when you're out and about doing various Who stuff and bits and pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so do get in touch. I did have an email through actually from the guys at, I think it was 10th Planet.
Oh yeah.
10th Planet Events, saying that they've got everyone confirmed now for the next, I think it's Day of the Doctor's 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
That looks kind of cool.
It does, and this is at the same place we went to last time when we first met up, isn't it? The Copthorne in
Yes.
are we saying Windsor or Slough? But that area.
Yeah.
It's in the same place, isn't it? And it's quite a good little venue, because I love the fact that you can go to the sort of main convention bit, and then they've got that little bar area, because I just love sort of just having time out to sit with all Doctor Who fans like we did.
Yeah.
And just soaking up the atmosphere. So yeah, it's not a bad little event, that one.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
tempted
cool.
to go to another.
Yeah, and I've got another one as well. So they do loads of events. They're not the biggest conventions in the world, but
No.
they're definitely very good and worth going to, because I think in some ways the smaller, the slightly smaller venue and that sort of thing is actually a good thing.
Yes.
And there's another one come through. One of their other popular ones is the Big Finish Days.
Oh yeah.
And the Big Finish Day 7, I think is going to have Colin Baker. He's there, and I think he's going to give a little talk and a presentation on his latest Big Finish about his regeneration story that he's done with Big Finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be very cool. And I think he's also going to be signing some more of those interviews that Big Finish released as well.
Right. Have you got either of these? Did you order either of them?
I've pre-ordered the regeneration one, but I've not
right.
got the interview one, which
I
apparently
see.
is very good.
Yeah, mine literally just arrived through the post a couple of days ago. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I'm really looking forward to it, because I got the Tom Baker one that they did a few months back or whenever it was, and that was really good. I mean, Tom is just full of stories anyway, so he's always entertaining. But yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to the Colin one. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard a single word of it yet, but I know Colin. I get the feeling Colin might like to have the odd rant, judging by some of his interviews. So I think it's going to be really good, and I'm hoping to get to listen to it over the weekend. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's some good people there as well at that Big Finish Day 7. Colin's obviously there. Katie Manning's there. Nika Wills. There's also some people from... so Nick Briggs is obviously going to be there. Louise Jameson.
Yep.
Matthew Waterhouse.
Yeah, our old mate.
Yeah. Our old mate, yeah.
I really like Matthew Waterhouse, actually.
So yeah, there's going to be quite a few good peeps there. So the 10th Planet stuff is really good. I might try and get to a couple of these before the year's out. So yeah, convention stuff. And I think the other biggie is obviously the official BBC festival, which is coming very swiftly. So it's not till November, but I think that's going to come around very quick.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm starting to. I mean, I'm getting such a buzz for the new series, and I'm really looking forward to the convention as well, because it's going to sort of be. I was going to say slap bang in the middle of the series, but actually no, it'll be more towards the end of it, won't it? But that's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that.
I still need to book my hotel for that. Actually, I need to.
Oh, do you? Oh, I thought you'd booked it.
I was going to. I was looking around at stuff, and I put some tweets out to see who anyone else who was staying in other hotels, but I guess nobody wants to talk to me.
All right. Yeah. I must admit, I'm looking because we're both going to stay. We're going on the Saturday, and we're both going to stay on the Friday night, aren't we?
Yes.
So that we can just trot to the venue in the morning. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. The danger is I'm. I do like a pint or two on a Friday night. Don't get smashed, but I do like to sort of chill out. Start the weekend off with a little drink, and I'm going to try not to do that too much the night before because I don't want to be walking around the festival like a bear with a sore head. But obviously, we're going to be meeting up. There's bound to be a drink involved. Just you're not too bad because you don't drink much anyway, do you? From what I remember, you're not a big drinker.
No, I like a tipple. I do have I do have the odd pint.
Yeah, but I remember when I met up with you, you enjoy a pint, but you're not like me. Once I've had one, it turns into 5.
Once you get it, yep.
Yeah. Once I get on, and so you'll have to try and hold me back a little bit. I think on the Friday because otherwise I'm going to really regret it the following day.
I've got this image in my head of the photo shoots that they put tickets out for Peter Capaldi. I've got a vision of you just coming like flying through like the backdrop, absolutely smashed with like a Dalek helmet on or Simon helmet saying, "Peter, photo."
Yeah. I tried to book. I was on at 10 o'clock. Yeah, I can actually see that happening. That's a very scary thought.
I'll keep you in check, mate.
Yeah, if you could,
because you don't want the day ruined because you're completely hungover and not seeing in colour.
No, it'd be terrible. I love that image. I could actually see that happening.
Yeah. I will have phone at the ready.
Cool.
So if anyone else, because I know that we're meeting up with a load of other people down there. I think everyone's staying the night before, from what I gather. So if anybody knows of where they're staying or anybody, because we'll sort out a meetup. I think somebody's already arranged that. I saw an event sent around to like loads of people on whatever Facebook. So I know there is a meetup of some kind.
Oh, is that cool?
And I'm not being funny here because there's probably going to be hundreds of meetups with loads of Who fans, but I mean like people who listen to this show and other podcasts that we listen to. I know there's a big meetup somewhere, so we'll sort something out and we'll let you guys know when and where once I remember.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of looking forward to afterwards actually when the event is done, and I can just relax. I'm really hoping I have time to go for perhaps a drink after the actual event as well with all the other Who fans because I like the thought of that. Of sitting in a pub and just chatting about the day and what everyone's got from it and stuff. That's what I'm really looking forward to actually.
Yeah, cool. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Right.
So, should we crack on?
Yeah, with no rant, we should probably get into the news, shouldn't we?
Let's do it, buddy.
Okay. Nice.
First up this week, we have a cool book on the way. Fifth Doctor, Mr. Davison, is finally writing his autobiography. It's got a cool title as well, The Fifth-ish Doctor. I like the way he puts "ish" at the end of his stuff now.
Yeah, I like that.
It's very cool. So it's out April next year, so I'm assuming it's almost done. And it will feature a foreword by his son-in-law, Mr. Tennant, which is quite cool. Keep it in the family.
Yes.
And this is a pre-order defo for me. I'll be honest with you guys. This is I think that Mr. Davison might be creeping up to my classic Doctor.
Is he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The more I watch of his stuff, and the more that I rewatch some of the stories, like the one that we're doing this week, I'd seen it a couple of times already, but when I watched it this morning, there's just something about Davison that I'd really, really like. And I think he could possibly be in contention for my classic Doctor after all these years.
It's funny you say that. You are the second person to say that to me this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I really like Davison. He was the Doctor when I grew up as a kid, and I really do like his Doctor. He's probably not my favourite, but he's up there. He's definitely up there.
Okay.
But I was talking to Matt from Who Addicts Reviews, and he was saying that Peter Davison is his all-time favourite Doctor. Over all the modern Doctors, all the classics, he's his number one.
Okay.
And I was really surprised because I always thought James. I always thought James was a Tennant fan like yourself. I always thought, So I was surprised when he said that Peter was his favourite Doctor, but he is good, and I think he does get slightly overlooked because he's one of the more gentle Doctors. So he's quite sort of easygoing, isn't he? So that sometimes sometimes people translate that to being that he's a bit bland. And I think that's unfair because I actually think he is a really, really good Doctor. So, I hear you.
This is going to be good. And I like the setup for it as well. So I like how they've introduced his sort of coming to be the Doctor. So part of the introduction or the advertisement for the book is it starts as Peter. It's John Nathan Turner here. How would you like to be the next Doctor Who? Which I think is how phenomenal is that? Where you don't really have to audition for the role. It's somebody who's come at you and said, how would you like to be the Doctor? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say that after receiving this phone call in March 1980, Peter Davison will go on to play the Doctor in the hit BBC series, blah, blah, blah. Now for the first time, Davison reveals what it was really like to take on this role of a lifetime. And he talks exclusively about his childhood and personal life, describing his work on shows such as All Creatures Great and Small, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Miranda, Sherlock, and a few other bits. It sounds really cool, and we don't really get much from Davison in terms of like behind the scenes and how he felt, and many interviews about what really happened behind the scenes, because everything's quite, especially when Colin Baker was the Doctor. It was very, very political,
public.
And the BBC was very, a little bit kind of cloak and dagger about things and stuff like that. So that's very public, isn't it? Like you say, and very much out there, like what happened behind the scenes with Colin Baker and Tom Baker to an extent. But there isn't a great deal. Well, there isn't as much about that stuff around the Davison era.
No.
So it would be interesting to read what happened and his view on things. So it'd be a good book, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I haven't read a lot of sort of stuff from him personally about his time on Doctor Who. I mean, I think if ever you hear him on a DVD commentary, he's always got plenty to say, hasn't he? And he's quite honest as well. If he doesn't like a story, he's very sort of candid about it. He will express his opinion and stuff. So yeah, I think this will be really good. I'm actually quite looking forward to this. And I was just seeing here, he's only the third Doctor to write a biography, isn't he? So John Pertwee did one. Or did two, actually, I think. Tom Baker did one, but hardly spoke about Doctor Who at all in his, which is bizarre when you think how long it was the Doctor for. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I hope it does sort of have a good chunk of Doctor Who in there because, it'd be interesting to hear about his time in it. Yeah. So I'll be getting this as well, yeah.
Yeah, based on the title, I think it will have a large portion of it will be around Who. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good shout. Cool. Well, in other news, and here's something that I think will please you, Gary. The series 1 to 4 of Doctor Who are finally coming to Blu-ray separately. So
yes,
because I bought that blimmin' great expensive box set, but you won't need to do this. You will be able to buy them individually as of August, I believe. Is it at the end of this month? Let's have a look.
31st, yeah.
31st. So as of the 31st of August, you'll be able to buy the new series on Blu-ray, series 1 to 4 separately. So yeah, I mean the price wise, they're still a little bit expensive. I think they're around about £25, aren't they? £24.99, something like that.
Yeah. If you order from the BBC shop, I think they're normally £23. or
Right,
something
yeah.
like that. They have got a promotion on at the moment, actually. If you're listening to this podcast from today, the 28th of August, they have got a 15% off for the bank holiday weekend.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you do want to order anything from them, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
And they've also got free delivery on everything.
So you're going to get, what do you need? Do you need you need all 4 of these, don't
I need
you?
all 4 because
Yeah.
from Blu-ray, I've got the Series 4 specials onwards. So I need these ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what's only been available separately up until now, isn't it? From the specials onwards, which is strange because these have been available separately in other countries like Australia since 2013. So they've taken their time getting these out over here. And just to clarify, these are exactly the same as they were in the box set. So I know a lot of people have an issue with the fact that they play at a different bit rate, isn't it?
They play at a different frame rate.
Frame rate, yeah. Yeah, and that's, that they haven't sort of altered that. These are exactly as they were, so they do play slightly slower, which I've never quite got my head around. I'm not that technical, but I know it does bother some people.
Yeah. So here's the thing with the frame rate. You wouldn't notice when you're watching it.
Yeah,
You really wouldn't. I think they were filmed at 25 frames per second, but the kind of Blu-ray standard is 24. But the only time that you would really notice a difference if you had 2 TVs next to each other, one with the DVD, one with the Blu-ray, and you played them at exactly the same time, when you got to the end of the episode, one would have finished like, I don't know, a few seconds quicker than the other one.
right, yeah.
As you're say if you just stick the Blu-ray in and start watching it, it's not gonna, your experience isn't going to diminish at all because you think it's running slow. You can't notice it's running slow. It's only when you compare it directly to the DVD.
I'm with you.
That's
I mean
what it
that doesn't bother me at all, to be honest. Like I said, it's not something I'm gonna notice personally. I mean, I've got these obviously in the set, and they do look great, and I do believe the sound is better on them. It certainly seemed a bit clearer when I was watching them. The only thing that bugs me about these Blu-rays is the fact that they didn't put the correct version of Time Crash on it. I can't remember which series it was, but that Little Children in Need episode with Peter Davison and David Tennant.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, when that was released on DVD, they managed to put an earlier version on there by mistake, so it was missing some of the sound effects. It was like an incomplete version of it, and I was really hoping that when they issued these on Blu-ray that they would correct that, plus a few other little minor things that they'd got wrong on the DVDs, but they haven't. So they are kind of like exactly the same as the DVDs in terms of extras, but that does also include these little tiny little errors that they made when they issued them. So that's the only thing that disappoints about them. But that's, to be honest with you, that's the only one that sticks in my mind. I just wish they'd corrected that time crash, because I would love to have it as it was actually shown, like the proper finished article, if you like.
Yes, that is one of the things that happens quite a lot with transfer over to Blu-ray and stuff, where the company that does it, in this case it's BBC Worldwide, they get a wee bit lazy, really. I don't know whether that's down to cost or something, but it's kind of a missed opportunity, because there's obviously like little faults, that have occurred, and now's the time to fix them, really. But they just don't really do that stuff. They just concentrate on getting the transfer over to high def, and that's it, really. So that is one thing to mention as well. These are upscaled. So these weren't filmed in HD. These were filmed in standard def back in the day.
Yeah.
So these are upscaled. So they won't look as good as something like Series 8, or even the Matt Smith stuff looks amazing on Blu-ray.
Oh, it does, yeah.
So they won't look as good as that. They'll still look slightly dated. However, the thing that I'm most looking forward to with these is really the sound mix, because apparently the audio mix is really good for these. So
it is. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So that's awesome news.
Yeah, good news.
And I think, if you go off and find, just do a search around for these, you can find them a little bit cheaper. The cheapest I've found is Amazon, and they're £19 or £18.50 or something.
Oh, right, okay.
So a couple of quid off. But if you want to get free delivery from Amazon, you have to spend 20 quid. So you're a couple of quid short.
Oh, right.
But I've ordered the first 2 for now. So that's all good.
Excellent.
All good. So moving on. a bit of a clanger, this one. So unfortunately, the Doctor Who Symphonic Spectacular, which is on tour at the moment, has had a couple of shows cancelled.
Yeah.
In a really cracking venue, which is a big shame. So the show was meant to land in New York in October, and it was going to be held at the Barclays Center, and which I think is Brooklyn, or just outside Brooklyn. And it's a really good venue, especially for something like this. It's huge. I think if you were to get that many Doctor Who fans in this venue, it would just be so good. I mean, it's much bigger than the Albert Hall.
Right.
It's much bigger than where we saw it. I think, where was that? Wembley Arena. Yeah. So it would be amazing to see it in there. But unfortunately, it's been cancelled. And it was going to be hosted by Michelle Gomez as well, which would have been fun.
Yeah.
I think, for her to do it. But the strange thing is that there's been no reason at all as to why it's been cancelled. So we can't give you a reason. So any of our US listeners who are going to this or know anything about it, please let us know. But the company who was putting this on along with the BBC, I think they're called, what are they called? Vision 9. They just go on to say that the shows that was scheduled on October 7th have unfortunately been cancelled. All Ticketmaster online and phone orders will be refunded. We apologise for inconvenience, but hope to see you at an event soon. And then it goes on to say that there are no plans to reschedule either. So a real strange one, this one.
Yeah, and a little bit unfair, actually, to anyone who's bought a ticket, because if that was me, I'd want some sort of explanation.
Yeah.
That it seems a little bit cold, that statement, doesn't it? I mean, I can only assume, and this is pure speculation, that it's down to ticket sales, that maybe they didn't sell enough.
Maybe,
but I mean, that might not be the reason. That there could be, some other reason. But yeah, to not give anything at all, I think is a little bit unfair to those that have splashed out hard-earned cash for tickets, really. Yeah. I wonder what it was. I mean, it's a big venue, like you said.
Yeah, it's massive, and it would have been so good to have that many people in there. I'm not saying that they would have sold the place out necessarily, but to have that many Who fans in there and that whole experience. I mean, it's more like the size of something like the O2 or something, it's a massive stadium kind of thing. And it would have been so good to hear that music in a venue like that. So it is a shame, but hopefully they might. It does say that they're not going to reschedule at this time. However, you never know. Yeah,
sad news. But yeah, let's hope they get some more details on that. And like you said, if anyone knows, get in touch.
Get in touch and we'll stick it on our Facebook page. At least you guys know what's going on.
Okay. In other news, last bit of news actually, depending on when you listen to this Thursday that's just gone, so the 27th of August, there was a premiere of The Magician's Apprentice in Edinburgh, I believe, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we're recording this the Friday after that. There is going to be another premiere of The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. So the two parts are together. And this is going to be in Cardiff, I believe.
Yep.
I've just got, sorry, I updated Windows 10 and all these things have popped across the screen, blocking everything I'm trying to read. So sorry.
Bill Gates.
Maniac. So this is going to be held on the 10th of September. And tickets went on sale yesterday. I'm assuming they sold out within seconds. Two-part story, and obviously there's going to be a Q&A afterwards, and Peter, Jenna and Stephen are going to be there, as well as the producer Brian Minchin.
Michelle Gomez as well.
And Michelle Gomez is going to be there, is she?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. So this is a great event. And what's that? So is that the week before it airs on TV, the 10th?
It would just over a week, yeah.
Yeah, slightly more. So, but it's good that they're getting the two parts. So they're getting, Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar all together in a big. It's going to be in Cineworld, isn't it? So it'll be a big, on the big screen.
Screen 9, no less.
Screen 9.
I don't know what that is, but big that is. But it's in Screen 9. They've
made a point of it, so as if it must be massive. But this is cool. I mean, the premiere yesterday. One of my friends, Jamie, I know he listens to the show. Hello, Jamie. He was lucky enough to go to the premiere, and we were chatting last night in the group chat, and he didn't give any spoilers. He was very good. But he was buzzing, and he was just full of praise for the episode. Obviously, he got to see part 1, and they only showed the first part, and he just can't wait to see the second part. But he's not the only one that's been saying good things. From those who have seen it. Amazingly, I haven't seen any spoilers yet, but everything I have seen has been really positive about the opener. So that's really reassuring. I think I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yeah, that is cool. I did have a little dig around, very fearful that I might run into some spoilers, but as usual, true to form, the Who fandom is keeping tight-lipped, which is great. But just as you said, I've heard great things also, so that's quite reassuring.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know my friend is, he'll admit himself, he's quite hard to please. He's not one of these, he said he sort of went into it very open-minded, but he said he really, really enjoyed it. He thought the writing was good. He thought it felt fresh. It's very, a lot of people are saying this. It's like more like a final than an opening episode. That's the only thing that worries me, because that sounds good, but I worry a little bit. that sets the precedent up for the rest of the series. But no, what we've heard so far about this episode is really good. If you are going to this premiere on the 10th of September, wow, just so jealous. I just can't wait to see it. Yeah,
that's going to be very cool. And it's you are correct as well that the tickets did sell out. I think it was about 7 minutes, this one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so there's never any there should be never any doubt from the BBC whether, if they ever worry about Doctor Who's popularity, I don't think they have to worry for a long time.
No, exactly.
It's whenever you hear, we had this last season. Oh my God.
Season? God, you haven't said that for a while.
Wow, that was I haven't got my swear jar anymore either.
Plug. No, we haven't got the pound jar.
Yeah. So we had this last series where we had a couple of different tabloids say things like Doctor Who's ratings have suffered the worst in like a million years, and the show is on the verge of being cancelled and stuff like that. When you read stuff like that, you must think, have you guys got nothing better to do? Because when you have events like this that sell out, faster than a One Direction concert, there must be something, very, very much there.
Yeah,
for
you must be doing something right. Yeah.
So if we have any more stories that come up like that again this series, in fact, we're not even going to talk about them because it's just ridiculous rubbish.
It would just burn your bacon.
It will burn my bacon.
Yeah.
It'll grind my gears.
Because I was a bit worried about this. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that we were saying about the fact that they were doing a premiere a month before the episode airs because of spoilers, and it does seem, we said it before, it does seem that Doctor Who fans are very good at keeping the spoilers to a minimum. It's like my friend last night, he was dying to tell us stuff. He said, I just read it, I'd love to tell you, but he said, I'm not just saying this to get you annoyed, but I don't want to ruin it for you. He said, because it was so good going into it cold, that's exactly how I want you guys to go into it. That was more or less his exact words. He was just like, I don't want to ruin this for you, because it was just brilliant. Everything, every twist and turn was just like brilliant. So yeah, it really got me even more excited than I already am for Series 9. So can't wait. It's
going to be, I'm assuming it's going to be very awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is the other thing. I've got to bring myself down a bit. Don't want to get too excited, otherwise it won't live up to it. But yeah, I am well looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be ace.
It's going to be ace. Yeah.
So that's going to wrap for news.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hello.
What are we reviewing this week?
Well, we're talking about him earlier, the Fifth Doctor, and this week he's with the Daleks, Resurrection of the Daleks.
Welcome, Doctor. I have waited many years for this meeting.
I'm sorry to have detained you.
It was but a pleasure deferred. Now you are here. You will repay tenfold for the mental agony I suffered.
I'll say one thing for you, Davros. Your conversation is totally predictable. You're like a deranged child. Always talk of killing, revenge, and destruction.
It is the only path to ultimate power.
But to what end? Just more suffering for those unlucky enough to survive.
Only for those who resist my will. What are you doing?
Until I walked through that door, I foolishly hoped you'd changed enough for me not to have to do this.
Stein! Kill him!
I'm not here as your prisoner, Davros, but your executioner.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
That is Davison at top of his game, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what a great scene.
Yeah, that scene really shocked me, actually.
Did it? Yeah.
Yep. I thought he was going to go through with it.
I couldn't see it, but I love that scene. I love the standoff between the Doctor and Davros in that bit.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very cool.
So, Resurrection of Daleks. This was back in 1984. And this was, depending on how you watch it, I think when it first aired, it was just two episodes of around 45 minutes. But if you watch it now, if you get the DVD, it's split into 4 episodes.
Yeah.
25 minutes each. Which I'm kind of, I wouldn't have, because this is, I wouldn't have mind watching this over 2 episodes. I didn't think it was one of those classic Who's where you're bored out of your mind.
No, I think actually it could have worked very well as 2 46-minute episodes or whatever. Yeah, it's got enough going on, I think, to actually to carry that off. But having said that, I think it's got some cracking cliffhangers. I think all the cliffhangers in this are really good, so it kind of works both ways. Yeah,
true. And I shouldn't have said that, really.
Why?
Bored out of your mind. I wouldn't say I've ever been bored out of my mind watching Who, even the slow ones, but yeah, you know what I mean. Some of them do move rather slowly at times. It's probably a better way of saying it. Yep. So it's back in Feb 84, and this was a pretty good script, actually. Eric Saward. What are you laughing at?
I think it's Sayward. I don't know.
Saward. Saward.
Let's call. Oh, I like that. Eric Saward.
Let's say Sayward.
Okay. I like Saward.
Saward.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good script, actually.
It's great.
It's got kind of a. It's actually the way this is written is quite dark in places.
Oh, it's very. Yeah.
You know, it's quite dark, and it's got a sense of kind of foreboding about it, and it's almost it's a bit Andros. It's a bit Caves.
It's got a massively high death count.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
Massive death count, like a lot more than you would expect from a Doctor Who story. Because some of the other classic Who's have got a reasonable death count in some of them.
But this one's quite gritty, isn't it? And I think actually the music really adds atmosphere to this, because it's a real strange soundtrack. But I think it works well actually with the whole sort of grimness of the setting. I quite like it.
It is very cool.
Yeah, Malcolm Hulke, I think, is it?
Malcolm Clarke.
Malcolm Clarke. Oh, Malcolm Hulke's a writer. Yeah, Malcolm Clarke. Yeah, doing the music, and he's done some quite. He did the music for the Sea Devils, and that was bizarre as well. But this is sort of. I think this actually works quite well in this story to add to the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's cool. So it is a bit dark. It's a little bit, and it's also one of those. It's kind of. I don't want to say it's a sad story overall, but it does. It is a little bit because it's Tegan's exit as well.
Yeah.
So it has got a kind of a. I wouldn't say a depressing undertone to it, but it's just not one of the happiest Who stories that you'll watch.
No, it's funny because a lot of this is sort of more in the tone of some of Colin Baker's stories. But for me, I'll just come off the bat and just say I really, really enjoy this one. Whereas I find Colin's stories quite grim, but not necessarily enjoyable. So I don't know. There's a lot going for this story, and then there's something in there that I actually, like you said, it does rise above the sort of, the grimness that's in there, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's more to it. I actually think it's a really cracking story, and it kicks off. I mean, the action kicks off straight away. Like it's been a while since I watched this one, and I put it on yesterday. Like we're straight into it, aren't we, with these guys bursting out of this, onto this London sort of derelict warehouse, and we're straight into it. And it's it's raining, it's dark, but then it's got other great moments, like there's lots of sort of nice little touches in there that mean it's not depressing to watch. It's just a really good, gritty story, I think.
Yes, I like that setting as well. It's kind of really old school London, industrial bit down by the Thames, I'm assuming.
Shad Thames, yeah.
Yep.
If you ever go down there, it's it's a far cry from that now. It's actually really nice. They've all been turned into. It still looks the same, but it's all shops and restaurants and that there.
Yeah.
It's a really cool little place to go. Actually, just if you watch the story, it's a really great little place just to wander around, because you sort of. They've sort of kept all the industrial bits, like all the walkways going across, and you can still sort of feel the original sort of locations there, but obviously, all the little units have been turned into shops and restaurants. So, I don't know, it's a good mix of new and old. I love going down to Shad Thames just because of their story. Okay,
so you can imagine Stein crouching up there, cowardly.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I always like walking up to where the TARDIS lands, because that's a little bit different now. There's like this little boat walkway goes out. Because at first I was thinking, where is that bit? I mean, obviously you've got the bridge in the background. So there's a few little bits that have changed. I mean, the steps that Tegan runs down at one point where the policeman gets shot. The guy in the river gets shot by the policeman. Those steps are gone because I spent ages trying to work out where they were when I was there, but the majority of it hasn't really changed, apart from it's been really cleaned up and sort of modernized, if you like. But it hasn't actually changed in the sense of the sort of feeling of the area. It's well worth going down to.
I've walked through there once before. It's quite a few years ago now, but I do remember thinking it was it's got this lovely old worldly feel about it still, even though it's quite modern in what they've done to it. But it's very, very cool little walk down there.
Cool. It is.
Very cool.
Yeah, I feel like I want to go there, actually. Again, I have been there a few times, but watching this yesterday, I was thinking, I really just fancy going for a wander down there again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So in terms of the story then, I mean, it's quite, there's, like I said, there's a lot going on in this, isn't there? There's a lot of different groups I don't really know where to start with the story, really. I mean, it sort of kicks off with these futuristic humanoids being chased down this street. And it turns out that the Daleks are traveling through time. They've got like a time tunnel. Time corridor, that's the word I'm looking for, yeah. And what is it they're trying to do?
Yeah, so they've...
Because they're making duplicates of people, aren't they?
Well, it comes off the back of Destiny of the Daleks. So it's set after the war with the Movellans.
Movellans, yeah.
So the Movellans have come up with this kind of poison that can destroy the Daleks, and they're trying to track down Davros so that he can help them come up with an antidote. So they've tracked him down because Davros is currently prisoner on this ship.
Yeah, like a frozen chamber, isn't it?
Yeah, he's in like some sort of cryo-freezing prison chamber thing. And so the Daleks have tracked him down. So they invade this ship, release him to try and get this antidote. And obviously in the mix, the Doctor's landed. And then the kind of plans go a bit skew-whiff. It's kind of... So you've got these humanoid replicates, haven't you? Who are acting on behalf... they're kind of being controlled by the Daleks, which are these humans that have been killed, but then they've been replicated and they're just carrying out the Daleks' work. So those guys are kind of troops, if you like, soldiers for the Daleks. And one of them kind of fights against it at some point.
Yeah.
And ends up freeing the Doctor. And then, like you say, there's a lot going on, but it kind of, what's the best way to describe it? So it starts off as like two separate stories. You've got this stuff happening on Earth where you've got the replicates who are in this abandoned warehouse and they're chasing down these prisoners that they've got. And then up in the ship, they're being boarded by the Dalek fleet to try and free Davros.
That's right.
And then the time that they come together is when, first of all, Turlo wanders through the time
Tunnel.
corridor, whatever, and ends up on the Dalek ship, or the ship where the Daleks are. And it isn't until the Doctor and all those guys end up there, that's when the two stories kind of come together.
Yeah.
I think is the right way of saying it.
Yeah, and we got in the mix of this, we've got loads of characters, and actually, considering the short time we have to get to know them, I think all the characters are brilliant in this. Apart from one, which we'll come on to, is a little bit thing. But some of the characters we get to meet. So you mentioned Stein, played by Rodney Bewes, who I always think of, because I'm of a certain age, I always think of him as one of the Likely Lads. Yeah, which was a comedy back in the day. So he's more known for his comedy roles. But do you know what? I think he's great in this. I really liked the way he plays the part, especially when he's sort of really confused and fighting, to try and find his own mind inside this duplicate body. I thought I really liked him as Stein. And when he's playing the sort of human side, he's got like a stutter. And when he's the duplicate, he's sort of talks, without it. And it's just a really nice little touch. And I don't know if that was his decision or whether that was in the script. But yeah, it's a nice little touch. But what do you think of Stein?
Yeah, I think Rodney Bewes was brilliant in this.
Yeah, really good.
He was so believable as well as like the cowardly, stuttering, kind of imbecile, really, who can't really get anything done. He's useless in battle, and and then when we see his replicate, it's completely different. He plays that part so well, where he's very stern and the stutter's gone. He's a bit darker, but then as his mind sort of struggles against the Dalek control towards the end, he kind of goes between the two, and then he plays that really well.
Yeah, really, and it's quite a shock, isn't it? I thought quite a shock when he turns on the Doctor. When they arrive on the spaceship, because up to that point you just think he's this cowardly guy, he doesn't really want to go, and then they get on the spaceship and he suddenly pulls a gun on the Doctor and says, "I'm actually a Dalek agent," and I was like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah, that's because he played that so well. The Stein that's very bumbling, it's completely believable. You would have no clue that he would actually turn out to be a Dalek agent. It's very, very cool.
And it's a great scene actually when he's sort of preparing the Doctor to have his mind recorded on this reel tape or whatever it is. But there's a great scene between the two of them, isn't it, where the Doctor's trying to get him to think of memories, to confuse him, to stop him doing what he's doing, and both of them play that scene brilliantly, don't they?
Yeah.
Because he's really he's like, I can't remember what it is he's trying to get him to remember, but yeah, he's really struggling with his own conscience, and it's really well played, and Davison's great in that as well.
I think he's trying to get him to recite the first, some kind of law.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
trying to get him to recite like the First Amendment or something like that.
Actually, that whole scene's good because we get to see some nice old clips, and I'd completely forgotten that. It's always great when we see little clips of old episodes, isn't it? We get to see some of the old companions on the screen because they're looking at the Doctor's memories, and we get to see some of the old Doctors as well. I think we get to see all of them actually. I like that little scene.
Oh, up on the screen.
Yeah, it's always just like to see old clips in Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's kind of extracting. I think it's trying to visualise the Doctor's memories, isn't it, in his thoughts?
That's right. Yeah.
So just to finish off the story, it's one of those weeks where I'm really struggling to kind of put the story into words because it is quite busy in terms of what's going on.
It is.
So when Davros realises that he wants to become, I guess he wants to become like the Supreme Commander again.
There's kind of a sort of battle of wills, isn't there, between Davros being the leader of the Daleks and the Supreme Dalek, who sort of organised this whole breakout from the chamber. So he sort of wants Davros to help them, but Davros still wants to be in control of the Daleks. But the Supreme Dalek's having none of it, is he? He's like, no, I'm the boss now, and Davros is like, but I'm the creator. So there's a bit of a battle of wills there.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Davros does manage. He's got this brilliant thing hidden in his chair, hasn't he? That manages to corrupt the minds of people and also Daleks. So he manages to convert 2 Daleks to be on his side.
Yeah.
By injecting them with this strange device, which he's previously used on the guy who plays Dirty Den. What's his name? Leslie Grantham. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, I don't know what's going on with that thing. It's almost quite comical, isn't it, when they get injected in the neck? It's like a strange professor or something that gets it in the neck and does a really comedy sort of, But so Davros is sort of being clever as always and managing to get a few Daleks on his side. And I think the Supreme Dalek kind of realizes that he's never going to get Davros under his thumb. So he then decides that, he's had enough of Davros and it was a bad idea even trying to, get him on board. So he decides to sort of turn on Davros then, doesn't he?
That's it.
And that's when it all kicks off.
Orders his extermination, but like you say, Davros has got a couple of troops and Daleks under his command at that point. And
so
also,
we get a bit of a Dalek fight, don't we? Which is good. They all start turning on each other.
Yeah. So what happened, I think one thing that I missed actually was the reason why Davros is so miffed is because he's been in prison for something like 90 years or something. 90 years of mind-numbing boredom, as he puts it. So because of that, because he's been imprisoned by humans, he now has got this master plan to destroy humanity, hasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
As revenge. And so he's also, so the first thing is he wants to overthrow the Supreme Dalek because he wants to be back on top of the pile. So he wants to be like the ruler of the Daleks again. He wants to take revenge on humans because they've imprisoned him for nearly 100 years. So he wants to wipe out the planet, basically. Then he finds out that the Doctor's involved in this. So then he wants to kill the Doctor as well. So there's kind of multiple motives, I guess, for Davros. And I get the feeling that this whole thing would have gone swimmingly for the Daleks if they hadn't have freed Davros. Yeah. I think that was like their main sort of problem.
They'd forgotten that he's got a bit of a screw loose, basically.
Yeah. And now there's another subplot running with this as well. So there's this guy called General or Commander Lytton. Played by Maurice Colborne. And he's kind of working with the Daleks. Now, I don't know how and his men, how they got involved with the Daleks, because he does explain it briefly where he was saying that the war between the Daleks and the Movellans, basically the Daleks were done. They were going to be defeated. They were on the ropes, basically. And this guy Lytton says that without us, you would have been defeated.
Yeah, and Davros' reaction is just like, what? He can't believe it, can he?
He flips.
He absolutely flips.
Yeah, there's no way that the Daleks could have been defeated. And secondly, there's no way that they would have been helped by humans. But I can't, there's probably in a novelization or something around this. You guys could let us know. But I'm not sure the circumstances as to why Lytton and these soldiers decide to help the Daleks in the first place. I'm not quite sure on that.
No, I'm not sure.
However, throughout this story, it's very clear that the relationship between Lytton, his men, and the Daleks is very kind of on a knife edge, because the Daleks are very much, in this story anyway, they're very much a case of you've messed up, now you're dead. Or you're of no use to us anymore, so you're dead. So this guy Lytton, he's constantly like, I mean, it would stress me out. I wouldn't be able to cope with that. Because he's like, every single thing that he does is constantly like, are the Daleks going to kill me? You know, because even Stein mentions him at some point, you know, how long is it going to be for you? Or you might be next or something like that. So there's that story as well. So you've got Lytton, he's kind of doing his best to kind of stand up to the Supreme Dalek, to say like, me and my men have done this because it's the right thing to do, and without us you wouldn't have been able to do this. But Daleks being Daleks, having none of it, they're like, we don't need you, kind of thing. So there's that story plot as well.
Yeah, I mean the Daleks haven't got a lot of patience, have they? If someone sort of fails the first hurdle, they're like, "Oh, exterminate them. They even do it to Davros, because I was thinking they turn on him very quickly, don't they? As soon as he's saying, they're like, "Oh, Davros is unreliable. Kill him." They're just like they haven't got a lot of patience. These Daleks.
Yeah.
But go back to Lytton again. Another good character. Another good performance as well. Really like Lytton.
Yes.
And he works really well in the story.
There's another group of people as well.
Yeah.
We have the military guys in the warehouse who turn up.
Now, the lead guy, again, he's not in it that much, but brilliant performance from him. The guy who gets duplicated and comes back and his duplicate's got the gun, so that's how they realise his duplicate. I don't know what his name is in the story. Do you know? Sort of like the main leader of the army guy.
Oh, is it? It's either Colonel Archer or Sergeant Calder. I think it's Calder.
Yeah, because he goes out to try and find a policeman and then sort of gets duplicated, doesn't he? But he's not in it that much, but a great little performance, because he's really sinister, isn't he? It's very underplayed. You know what I mean? He comes back and he just is, obviously Tegan and the other girl are just sort of they're trying to escape, really, aren't they, from him, because they've realised that he's a duplicate, so he's kind of holding them prisoner. But it's just sort of very underplayed, the whole scene, really. The way he's sort of keeping them trapped. They know he's a duplicate. He knows that they know, but it's all unsaid. And the whole fact that they're trying to get away from him but can't, it's really well done. And I think, he just plays it really well. I think really sinister.
Yeah. I think that guy we're talking about is Colonel Archer.
Yes, I think it was,
the group commander. So that whole thing's really cool as well, because that's really, I think, when the Doctor first sort of comes into the story properly, because they're there looking for the time corridor. Then I think they describe themselves as the bomb disposal unit.
That's right.
Yeah, which is obviously part of the army, but that's then where the kind of, because I guess he thinks that the Doctor thinks that, every time that he encounters like the military or something like that, they consider him a threat. But in this one, it's kind of weird, because the Doctor says, we're here looking for something. And when he mentions it, these army guys, they're not phased at all, are they? So the Doctor instantly clicks. He's like, well, you obviously know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because they don't let anything away. And then they end up kind of working together for a while, which is kind of cool. It's almost got like a unit feel to it, that bit.
A little bit, and I think it's because they know that the Doctor, they pick up that the Doctor knows perhaps more about it than they do. I think because of when that Dalek arrives, then the Doctor knows what it is, and he destroys it, doesn't he, by pushing it out the window. They sort of, because at first they sort of just going to arrest him, and then they realise, actually, this guy seems to know what's going on, so let's pair up with him, which is good. I love the bit, by the way, when they go and collect all the Dalek pieces, and they manage to bring in the mutant from inside, and it wraps itself around that guy's neck. I mean, even though he's clearly holding it to his neck, it looks horrible, doesn't it? It's really slimy, and and again, I think because the music's going crazy, it's a really disturbingly brilliant scene. And especially when they're trying to find it afterwards, and they turn over the cloth and it's actually a cat under there, and then it goes to the guy, and it's pretty horrific, but in a really good way. It's again, it just another great example of how many bits in this are unsettling but gripping to watch. Yeah, and
that's what we were saying earlier. It's quite a dark story at times. I was going to come on to this a little while, but we have the thing where we actually see the Doctor handling a gun. Yeah,
very unusual.
For a little while. And I think I can't be 100% sure, but there's a scene where in the old warehouse in London, after they've destroyed one of the Daleks, and as you say, it's it goes around people's necks and stuff. So there's like, well, I think it's part of a Dalek anyway.
Yeah, it's the mutant, isn't it?
Yeah, and when they find it, I'm pretty sure the Doctor fires on it with the pistol that he's been given. He does. Yeah. So it's kind of, that's what I meant by this story is quite dark, because the Doctor's actually doing things that you would not really. That's why I said earlier that I thought that the Doctor was going to go through with killing Davros, because he didn't even think twice before about killing a Dalek with an old school pistol.
Yeah.
Back in a warehouse. So it is very dark and stuff. And it also, when we mentioned the body count and stuff like that, this one's got no problem at all, this story, in just wiping out a whole group of people at once. And it happens like 3 or 4 times in the story.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, there's another group of people.
There is, yeah.
There's another group of people. There's some people. So the ship that the Daleks board, there's I think there's about half a dozen crew members who have survived, and their kind of plan is they know that they can't defeat the Daleks or these soldiers with what they've got. So they know that the game's up. So their plan is to hunt down the self-destruction device for their ship, let loose on that, and then, as a kind of self-sacrifice, at least they'll be wiping out these Daleks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they've got their thing going on as well, and they kind of interact with mainly Turlo, because you kind of forget about Turlo a little bit, because he doesn't really do much in this episode.
No, he kind of gets it embroiled up with them, but yeah, he doesn't do a lot.
Which is kind of strange, because he's in it quite a bit, Turlo. But all you see him do really is kind of run in between rooms.
Yeah,
and sneaking around.
His tie.
And straightening his tie a lot, yeah. But he does actually run into these guys, and they kind of mistake each other, and he convinces them that there is a way off the ship, so they convince him that, yeah, that's fine, but we still need to do the self-destruct thing. So they kind of compromise, and ultimately they get killed, but one of the crew members sort of buggers off with Turlo to go and find his time corridor. So you got that little thing going on as well. There's a lot, isn't there?
There is a lot, yeah.
There is a lot in this one.
And while we're talking about that group, then that does bring me on to the one sort of character that I think she's not bad, but she's not great either, and that's Rula Lenska playing Styles. I think she's trying hard, actually. I don't think she doesn't go too over the top, but she is a bit annoying. She's sort of trying to play the very powerful, no nonsense sort of character, but it's a little bit cringy at times. I think I was quite it's a very minor negative, actually, because I still think she's okay in it, but out of all the brilliant characters we've got, she's the one that's a little bit too, I was going to say pantomime, but that's not really fair on her, but you know what I mean. She's not as sort of believable, if you like, as the others to me. She's just a little bit too over the top, like when they're having the sort of shoot off when the Daleks explode through the door, and she's like, can't we take the fight to them, and she's sort of jumping over the box. So I was a little bit like, oh yeah, but yeah, she's not too bad, but out of all the brilliant performances, hers to me does slightly let it down.
I know what you mean. It's it's I agree with you. I wouldn't say that it's pantomime.
No, it's not pantomime, no.
And I wouldn't say it's over the top. It's kind of, I think you nailed it. I think, yeah, you can see that she's trying very hard. So I think maybe this wasn't, maybe it's down to the direction or something, I'm not sure. But it does come across like she's not 100% comfortable. Yeah,
I mean, when I say she's trying, I mean, you can tell she's taking it seriously. She's not sort of hamming it up. But she's just, maybe she's just not, I don't know. Maybe it's just more the character, actually, than her performance. I think she's supposed to be a bit sort of in your face annoying, to be honest with you. So, yeah. But yeah, as I say, I still think she works okay in terms of the story. Yeah. But just have to go back to very quickly to that, the bit you were saying about when the Doctor is going to shoot Davros.
Well, let's was going to come on to that. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, let's talk about Terry Malloy's Davros, and just quickly go back to that scene, because one of the things I love is that, like you said, you do believe the Doctor might be doing it because they tie it in with the scene in Genesis, because the Doctor actually says in this story, doesn't he, I had the chance to destroy the Daleks once, I didn't do it, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And you're like, whoa, this time the Doctor's realised, I've got to go through with this.
And he's also already busted a cap.
Yeah, into a Dalek mutant.
Yeah.
So in this one, the Doctor's really, like you said, we are seeing a different side. We're seeing the Doctor sort of almost pushed to the edge, thinking, like, I've got to stop this. I can't be nice anymore. I've really got to sort of do this because, I've let it happen too many times. All these people around me are dying. I've got to stop them. And it's really good to see the Doctor pushed so far to the edge like that. And actually, before we get into Davros, as we're talking about Doctor, let's talk a bit about Davison, shall we? Because he's brilliant in this, isn't he? You know, he really plays this well in this story.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, he's kind of on point in every scene, really.
Yeah.
Because there are times where there are some stories where the Doctor's not really pushed to do much. I mean, there are a couple of Pertwee stories and a couple of Hartnell ones, and there's a couple of stories throughout most of the classic era, really, where the Doctor's not really pushed in his performance, or the actor's not really pushed because the story doesn't account for it.
Yeah, it's sort of going through the motions. Yeah.
Whereas on this story, you've got the Doctor who's acting very kind of, as an investigator and stuff like that towards, around the beginning. You've then got him very worried about, what is happening around him to the people that are being killed and stuff. He's also worried about the master plan of the Daleks, and more specifically Davros. You've then got this darker side of him who's like, no, I'm not having this anymore. And then you've got this painful, he's kind of pained inner self bit where Stein is trying to replicate him and get into his mind.
Yeah.
So he's very much like, at that point, he's very much a tortured soul kind of thing. And he's kind of desperate at that point. And then you've got once everything is done, we've got him kind of having to deal with the loss of Tegan. And he plays that I think he plays that a bit kind of downbeat and a bit underrated at the end there. You can tell he's upset, but he's not really, he would never break down. It wouldn't be a David Tennant moment or anything like that.
No.
And then we kind of, as him and Turlough go off in the TARDIS, it's kind of everything's reset and he's off again. So I really like this story and the way that Davison plays all of these different bits just so well. And he's on the ball for all of it as well. There isn't a scene where you think, that was a bit lazy or they didn't have time to do that. He's just on it the whole time. Very, very cool.
Yeah, because I think we talked earlier, actually, where we talk about Peter Davison's Doctor at the start of the podcast, and saying that he can be quite a light Doctor. He can be sort of a bit breezy, like I said. But when you see him like this, you realise what a great Doctor Davison was, because he does. He's really in control. He's really no nonsense in this as well. Like when Stein is, when he still thinks he's good, and the Doctor's saying to him, "You're coming with me." He's like, he's absolutely taking no nonsense. Like he's got this poor, cowardly, sort of stuttering man, and Davison's Doctor's like, "No, you're coming with me on that Dalek ship. I need you." You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's quite Whereas sometimes Davison's Doctor would have been, very sympathetic towards that character and sort of, just tapped him on the shoulder, "You stay here." But no, in this one, he's sort of, he's pushed to the edge and really, really on the ball. As I say, I think Davison's superb in it. And I'd love to have seen more of his Doctor like this. I think, like you said, this sort of reminds me of Kees van der Zani, that sort of performance. He's really sort of, there's a, he's still the good guy, but there's an edge to this sort of Fifth Doctor that we don't always see, especially sort of earlier on.
Yes.
If you think about him in like sort of Black Orchid, for example, that's almost like a totally different, that's a very relaxed Fifth Doctor, isn't it, compared to this one that's like, right, I've got to kill Davros. There's a very, very different Doctor that we're seeing in this story.
Yeah, almost completely different. Yeah, so Davison, home run for this one.
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic.
Shall we talk very briefly about Tegan? It's her last story.
Yeah, I was going to say I do want to chat a little bit about Terry Malloy's Davros as well.
Oh, sorry. Let's do Davros.
Yeah, let's do Davros. Only because I think obviously Terry Malloy. We've had a couple of different Davros people play Davros, and Michael Wisher, obviously, and in Destiny. Oh gosh, I've forgotten his name. It's that chap we met at the convention. David Goodison.
Oh yeah, David Goodison. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, Goodison often gets sort of a bit of criticism for his performance as Davros. I think mainly because his voice wasn't treated, so he just sounds a bit. The performance is a bit flat. So I think Malloy, obviously being cast as Davros in this one because Goodison wasn't available. I think he's great. I think he gives a fantastic performance, considering he's somebody under a big rubbery mask. He manages to inject emotion and real sort of wow, like I said, he's quite loopy at times. He's going mad, but can also be really subtle. Like, I absolutely love when they first free him from the I can't never say this word. The chamber, cryogenic chamber. When they free him and the door opens to the two Daleks there, he just pauses and looks at them because he's unsettled. Yeah. And it's like, this is a guy in a mask. The fact that he's not really doing anything, but that he's just like, not sure what's going on here. I just think, he plays the craziness brilliantly and also the subtleness. I think he's a really good Davros. I really rate Terry Malloy.
I echo your thoughts there, mate.
Yeah.
It's I thought he was really, really good in this. There was a couple of scenes where, because regardless of who's playing Davros, I think Davros as a character is very kind of loose cannony and very kind of unhinged. You can tell that he's basically insane, and he's very much power hungry, and he's on the edge all the time. So I think whoever plays Davros needs to really embody that and really come across as who can portray that kind of on the edge insanity, but still trying to be this kind of genius professor kind of thing. And there are a couple of scenes in this where Davros is having a little speech and he's screaming. He's going absolutely mad. So towards the end of his little monologue, he's really screaming and shaking in his chair. And that is all testament really to Terry Malloy, because I think with a role like Davros, you've either just got to go for it or just don't bother.
Yeah.
So the fact that he absolutely went for it on a few of those scenes is all testament really. So I think Davros in this is brilliant.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. And I like you said, the scenes between him and Davison as well work brilliantly, because he does that mad shouty bit, but then in scenes like that with him and the Doctor, he brings it right down, and you sort of then get the clever. That's the thing. You get to see that Davros is he's a bit unhinged, but he's really clever, and I think that's what Malloy portrays really well. He is clever, but he's been frozen for 90 years, and he was a bit mad before he went in. So he's he's a little bit unhinged and unpredictable, and I love it. I'd love to have seen a bit more of Malloy as Davros, because in Remembrance we only really get to see him for a few minutes at the end inside the big egg cup, don't we? It's a bit of a wasted opportunity, because I do think Malloy's brilliant. Oh, actually, of course, we do get him in. No, this is Resurrection. Revelation, don't we?
Do we?
Yeah, Revelation of the Daleks. That's Malloy as well. Colin Baker.
So.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Revelation, of course. Yeah.
Revelation.
Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't watched that for so long. I completely forgotten about it. But of course, we get him in that. But again, he's a bit contained because he's in that glass tube for the majority of the story.
I was going to say, you just see his head.
Yeah.
Don't you, Free?
Yeah. Whereas in this, he's proper full flow Davros. You know what I mean? He's got his little device for manipulating people, and he's sort of ready to go. He just, unfortunately, he doesn't really get the chance, because I love it at the end where he throws the little capsule at the Daleks. He's so pleased with himself, isn't he, that he actually can't believe it when it starts affecting him.
Yeah.
It's so great. I just love the way he's just so evil. He's just like, die. And then he's like, what? No, I'm not a Dalek. What the? Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And he's very good in some Big Finish stuff as well.
Yeah.
So one of the first Big Finish audio dramas that I ordered was Davros.
Yeah, it's great.
And he's very, very good in that as well.
That is a good story. Again, I haven't listened to that for a long time, but I remember absolutely loving that. Really enjoyed that. I bought it when it first came out. It was probably how long ago it is since I've heard it, but it's a very good story. That is.
Yeah. So a lot of love there for Malloy. Really good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get on to Tegan then, because it's like you said, it's her last story. And actually, this is again one of the slightly. I really like this. This is very, very little negative things to say about it, but one of them is that it's her last story, but she gets to do absolutely nothing.
I know.
She basically spends pretty much most of it in a sleeping bag, with a play. You know, she gets a few scenes with that lady who used to be in Play School. But yeah, she gets nothing to do, and it's her last story. And I think that's one of the few sort of downsides of it. That yeah, she doesn't really. I mean, it's a nice subtle ending. It's it's quite nice the way she leaves, because she's just considering what, how the story has played out. She's just like, God, I can't be doing with this. All these people being killed all around me. And I think you would feel a bit like that if you had been her, because there's bodies everywhere. So it's really nicely done, and I like the way she just says, "I've had enough. It stopped being fun. I can't cope with this." But yeah, it's a shame she didn't get more to do, considering it's her last outing.
Yep. And when I first watched this one, and it actually happened, I thought it again actually when I watched it this morning. It's almost like you think to yourself, we're running out of time. Have I read this wrong? Is it 5 episodes? Is there another episode where we get to see Tegan, do some really amazing stuff, and then kind of, but you don't. It's not. It's literally, isn't it? The last 4 minutes?
Yeah,
3 or 4 minutes of the last episode, where she just literally just out the blue at the end turns around and says, I don't want to come with you. And then the doctor's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I can't, there's been so many good people that have died today. I can't take this anymore. And then she kind of shakes hands with the doctor and Turlough, and then she's off. Yeah,
there's just one little look back, isn't there?
Literally right at the end where, she says, like, I'll miss you, doctor, and stuff like that. But that is it. And it's really subtle. And I think it's, do you know what? I think just generally back in the day with Classic Who, they didn't really long out, companion or doctor's exits that much.
No.
If we think to something in contrast like David Tennant's exit as the Doctor, or Rose's exit especially, that was longed out over a whole episode almost. With those guys going. Whereas this one, it's very, very quick, and I think that's maybe, for me personally, I don't really have a problem with the whole Tennant exit and the Rose exit. I think it's quite beautifully written by RTD, those things. But I know that a large portion of fandom, is not quite keen on that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is why when Matt Smith left, the regeneration into Capaldi was very quick at the end. Even though he had like a little speech before, there wasn't really a lot,
Yeah, I know
towards
what you mean.
the end. So it was a very quick regeneration. It was like snap to here's Capaldi, onwards we go. And it's kind of the same thing with Tegan, because the Doctor, I was kind of expecting him to be a bit more kind of, you can't go sort of thing. But after shaking hands, she wanders off, and you can tell that he's upset, and he's is a bit depressed about it. But yeah, they just go off in the TARDIS, and you can tell that tune in next week for another adventure. It's not really, he doesn't really break down as much as I thought he was going to. However, that's kind of indicative of the Doctor's performance in this. I think he is a little bit on the darker side and a little bit more tolerant of the darker side of things. So
yeah, he kind of just has to get on with it, I suppose. I'm thinking like of Adric's death as well. They sort of have that tiny little scene at the end, and then it's not mentioned again. Like, you might have tuned in the next week to think you might see the Doctor, trying to find his thoughts somewhere and, trying to get over it. No, just move on. Don't mention it. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's kind of good in a way, because like you said, it just, that's done. Right. On to the next adventure.
Yeah.
I do wish that it always bugs me that when she grabs her head at the end, she knocks the plaster off. I always think, oh, surely they had time to do that, one more take of that, because she kind of just knocks the plaster off her head, doesn't she? Well, not knocks it off, but, thing. But no, it's a nice little scene, and obviously it's got that famous Braveheart Tegan line, which gets such a strange line. But I was thinking, actually, that I think Tegan would work quite well with Capaldi's Doctor for an episode, not a series. But, like there was that picture of them together, which caused speculation, of Capaldi and Janet Fielding.
Oh, yes, yeah.
They were like, is she going to be in it? I actually think that would be quite a fun pairing, because I like Tegan in small doses. She's not one of my favourite companions, but I do like her. But I do, I think, as I say, for an episode, I think she'd work quite well with Capaldi. I can imagine they'd spar off each other quite well, if you like.
Yes, I reckon they would. That'd be cool, actually.
Yeah, it would, yeah. But I doubt it'll ever happen, but yeah. I was thinking that yesterday, just because I was remembering that photo. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you're right. the only other sort of companion from Davison's era who kind of went suddenly at the end was Adric, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
you kind of knew it was coming, I guess, because you saw like the last build-up. What was that? Was it Earthshock?
Earthshock. Yeah.
Have we done that? Have we reviewed that?
No, I don't think we have yet. No,
that could be one to do. But yes, it's yeah. So in a nutshell, it's a very swift departure, and there's no tears really.
No, and I think the Doctor's, again, it's just the Doctor's sort of, he's absolutely shattered by the end of this story, isn't he, in terms of the character? I mean, he's really gone through the mill, and he's just like, yeah, I know what you mean, you know, I can understand, bye, you know, so, yeah, it's good. I like the way it's done. I just wish you'd had a bit more input, that's all. Would like to see that, because she would have been good on the Dalek spaceship, maybe taking out a few Daleks, or just having a bit more to do, really.
Yeah,
would have been good.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been cool as her last episode to kind of do a bit more, but
yeah,
there we go.
But overall, it's a great story, isn't it? Really, really good.
Overall, it's a really good story, actually.
Yeah,
the acting is superb throughout. Give or take a couple of little bits here and there, but you know, yeah. Overall, it's a great Davison story. Really good acting, not just from him, but the support cast as well, mainly.
Yeah, I put that actually as one of my little summing up notes. I put that the majority of supporting cast are really good. I mean, even the guys when the Dalek spaceship's first invading at the start, you know, they're sort of right, kill the prisoner, and it's all kicking off. And even those guys are pretty good. You know, they got quite sort of small parts, but they're going for it, and I like that. It doesn't, you know, I thought all the cast were good. It's quite grim actually when they're getting their faces melted in the first episode. Do you know what I mean? When by the gas, that's quite horrible because, as I say, we don't really get to know these characters, but you do sort of feel a bit like, oh no, especially when the girl and the guy go into Davros's chamber at the very first episode, and I think they're trying to kill him manually or something, and then the guy just turns around with his face melted and is like, help me. She shoots him, and then she gets shot, and it's all really like, oh blimey.
Yeah,
that I'll tell you what, that first episode is just so jam-packed of action. I that's one of the notes I made actually. Episode 1 is just full on. It's brilliant. It's such a great episode. But I think all three actually just really build and flow really well.
The first one's very action-packed. I really like the stunt where he pushes the Dalek out the window.
Yes,
with the really well-timed explosion as it hits the ground. It's very, very cool.
I did pause that because that always bugged me how that Dalek looks. It doesn't, because they do sort of try and keep it to a quick shot, but you can clearly see that it's a big vac-formed, I don't know, it's obviously loaded with explosives because it doesn't quite look right, does it, the Dalek?
No, you can tell, but...
It's got, but I just, only because I paused it, I just wanted to have a closer look at it. It's got like a massive sort of dome at the top of the head, which is clearly, I think it's weighted so that it falls on the head. So it explodes. But I was like, that's really cool. It's great to see the Doctor pushing a Dalek out of a window anyway.
Yeah. And I think at the time as well, it would have been cool to actually see the Daleks because it would have... it was 5 years, wasn't it, before this episode where you actually saw any Daleks.
Yeah.
So it was quite a few years before... since you'd have seen any of them. And then the next one you see... Well... You know, not the next one, but one of the next ones is being pushed out of a window and exploding. So, that would have been very cool at the time because you'd probably thought, I haven't seen no Daleks in a while.
Well, I tell you what, Gary, in all honesty, I really remember clearly seeing the trailer for this. I've got two very clear memories, actually. One is of the previous story of Frontiers because John Nathan Turner had been saying that they were going to get rid of the police box as the prop, and it was a big story in terms of Who'd fandom. And I was thinking, no, you can't get rid of the TARDIS. It was all nonsense, but he did it to get a bit of publicity. So in Frontiers, the TARDIS gets blown up and there's just the hat stand. And I remember that as clear as day, thinking, no, he's actually done it. Oh no, he's got rid of the TARDIS, because I was quite young, I believe these things. So I remember that from the previous story, and then I do clearly remember that there was a trailer that went out after Frontiers, because it kind of ends with them being shaken around in the TARDIS. And obviously that's how this one starts, doesn't it, with them doing the mirror effect. But I can remember that, like the return of the Daleks and all of that, Davison, and just being really, really like excited. Yeah.
Very cool.
So this story stayed with me for quite a long time, actually, because there's just that one little, and it might even be my memory playing tricks, but I can picture myself in front of the TV just watching that the Daleks bursting through the door. And I don't know if that's my mind playing tricks. You know, it might not have even been that scene. It might not have even been the wallpaper that I'm picturing on my parents' front room. But do you know what I mean? I can remember being there when this was going out and being really, really excited as a kid.
Okay.
So it stayed with me a long time, this story. Yeah, I think that's why I love it so much as well.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these stories as well that it kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by things like Genesis of the Daleks. Remembrance, maybe. It's quite a popular one.
Yeah.
It kind of gets overshadowed a wee bit. But yeah, overall it's a cracking one. So, and we don't have to wait too long for another companion. I think the follow-up story we're straight on with Perry.
Nicola Bryant,
Yeah,
yes.
Planet of Fire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's not completely on a part-time staff for long.
No, he doesn't get stuck with Turlo for too long.
Yeah.
Turlo's a funny one, isn't he?
He's very weird. And I was kind of hoping for a bit more from him in this one as well, but alas, he just runs down a lot of corridors and straightens his tie, like you say.
Yeah, some good tie acting going on
Yes.
in this one from him.
Shall we get on to scores, my good man?
Yeah, let's see. Yes, let's do the scores, yeah.
I think it's me
this
week to go first, right? This is going to be an 8.5 for me.
Snap.
Ah.
Actually, I was edging up towards a 9 as we were getting to the end of review, but I have written 8.5 in the pad. Yeah, I just love it, actually. I'm a bit protective over it. I know one of my YouTube friends, a guy called Harry, if he's listening, I think he does listen. Hi, Harry. I know that he doesn't like this story, and I get quite defensive over it because I can never understand how anyone couldn't like it. But I'm sure there are people out there. We'll find out in a minute when we read the comments out. But I just think it's a cracking episode. I'd probably go 9 out of 10, but I'm gonna stick with what I wrote in the pad, 8.5.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Really good.
Yep, it's a good one. What did you guys say?
Yeah.
So Ben Smith, that is over on Facebook. So Ben Smith, he says, this is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories. Davison is really hitting his stride and is amazing here. Janet gives a truly memorable last performance. Stein is a great character, and the twist that he has, that he was a Dalek spy is great. The idea of Dalek duplicates is a fascinating one, and I would love to see it in New Who. Lytton makes a superb villain. Terry Malloy's Davros is as fantastic as ever. The uneasiness between Davros and the Daleks is played out really well, and starts off the brilliant Dalek Civil War storyline.
Yes, that's a very good point,
Very
actually.
true. Yep.
And Lytton does get to escape, of course. I was going to say that. We get to see him again in Attack of the Cybermen, don't we? So he does come back, yeah.
And it's very atmospheric and dark. The ending is very emotional, and it's a fitting end for Tegan. I think this is the greatest 80s Dalek story. Yes, even better than Remembrance. He gives it 10 out of 10.
Do you know what? I love Remembrance, but having watched this again yesterday, I loved it. Really, really close, actually, those two. Yeah.
Well, it's not easy.
I know. Yeah, I know. Not for you. I know you're not a big Remembrance fan, but yeah.
Yeah. Cousins. 2019. Love Resurrection of the Daleks. I like the guy who helps the Doctor, Tegan and Turlo. It is an okay goodbye story for Tegan, but it could have been much better. Turlo is quite good in this story. I don't see why people have a problem with him. I love Tegan's last line, Braveheart Tegan. I love how this gets mentioned in the Planet of Fire. He gives it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
P.S. Adam, are you coming down to the convention in Bournemouth this weekend?
Oh, no.
Just to rub salt in the wounds there.
Oh, yeah, because he's going. Oh, yeah. I wish I could. Yeah, I can't think about it. I'm distraught.
Swiftly moving on. Lewis Palmer. Really good one, this is. Love it when the Doctor pushes the Dalek into the street, only for it to explode. Great supporting cast as well. I like the footage of previous Doctors and companions. The exit for Tegan was really good, I thought. I really loved her reason for leaving. Overall, I think this is one of Davison's best and a strong 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think he's made a very good point there, actually, because it does fit in really well with the story, the fact why she wants to leave. It's even though it's a very sudden exit, you kind of get it because of what's been played out. So yeah, he makes a very good point there.
Yeah. Kieran Knight, really don't like it. The Doctor is inactive and patronising, with Turlough getting his hands dirty but still dull. Eric Sayward, am I saying that right?
Saward, yeah.
Saward, just tried to copy Earthshock, but the supporting characters are just really dull. Despite the death count, I never found the Daleks threatening. Poor Terry Malloy. Have no idea how Tegan stayed this long without the writers killing her off, but it's a decent exit. I might give it another go one day, maybe 3 out of 10.
Oh dear, give it another go, Kieran.
Yeah, no love from Kieran.
Actually, I was going to say, I think the Daleks are quite menacing in this. The only thing is, they do move a bit slow, like when they're coming in to invade the ship. They are a bit doddery, but I do think they're quite menacing in this.
Yeah. Greg Toby, 10 out of 10. Great way to give Tegan a good send-off. And Tom Dix, I haven't seen this yet, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. I cannot wait to reach Resurrection in my series 1 to 35 marathon. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you very much for your comments on that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on Geeks?
Yes, yeah, got a few on Geeks handbag. We've got Finn Walsh. He says, really good story. Love some of Peter's latest stories, including that I Love 80s Who, 9 out of 10. Ryan Anthony, he says, I don't think this story is either exciting or memorable. It's not as good as Remembrance, but it's nowhere near as bad as Victory of the Daleks or Asylum of the Daleks. I think the story is in the middle. He's given it a 5 out of 10. Okay. Adam Time Lord Fishwick, he says, a brilliant Dalek story. I have this story twice. Don't ask why. A very good performance from Peter Davison. Matt Kelly, really good. One of the best action stories the show ever had. It is full of action, isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I dropped my microphone. Yeah, it's full of action. I think it's really cool. Yanto Williams.
Yanto.
Hello, Yanto. He says, the only Peter Davison episode I remember seeing, the reason I love this episode is not a secret. And then he's written Davros in great big capital letters about 1,000 times. So I'm guessing it's Davros. Thomas Andrew Evans, he says, love it, love it, love it. My first Peter Davison story, and it instantly made me want to watch more of his stories. Overall, amazing episode and a great send-off for Tegan. Jace Howells from the 500-Year-Old Diary says, a great story, although a bit messed up with multiple plot lines. Fantastic atmospheric story, filmed really well. Great to see Davros return and played by the wonderful Terry Malloy. Tegan's farewell at the end of the story is very touching and well done. And finally, the classic line, dark, isn't it, from Turlough. To me, the line comments not only on the character's option, but also of the tone of the story. Yeah, that's good. I'll just give a quick shout out to the director, actually, Matthew Robertson. I do think he did a really cool job.
Yes.
And finally, Robert Lithgow. Now, I often get confused. Is Robert the one that very often doesn't like things? Or am I thinking of someone else? You'll have to tell me, Robert. But he says, love it. Easily one of the best classic series Dalek stories. And one of the better Davison stories. Also, Tegan finally leaves. Thank God. So yeah. So overall, pretty, a bit mixed actually on Geeks, isn't it? Some love it, and there was a couple that not so keen. Yeah.
It's I would have thought it'd be more one of those middle of the road things as well. But it seems to be that people really, there's a lot of love for it, or you really don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know what there is not to like. I mean, I suppose we all have personal taste, but that's like when I was having a conversation with Harry, who doesn't like it. I was thinking, well, what don't you like about it? I don't know. I can't see what is there not to like about it. It's just full of action, loads of great characters. The Daleks are great. Davros is brilliant. Davison's brilliant. I don't know what there is not to like, but hey, I'm sure there are stories that some people love that I don't. So yeah,
True.
Personal taste. But yeah, I think it's a cracker.
It is a cracker. So that was Resurrection of the Daleks. 8.5s from us. What are we going to do next week?
Next week, Eccleston, an Eccleston story. We're going to look at Boomtown.
Boomtown.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while.
I haven't seen it in ages, so I actually can't remember much about that at all. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a rewatch.
Yes, we'll hopefully be watching that on Blu-ray next week.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah,
With any luck.
yeah. Is that the one where Jack jumps on the TARDIS at the start, or is that a different one? It's literally so long since I watched Boomtown.
Me too. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack's in it, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, next week, Boomtown. We'll get a picture up. Give us your thoughts on that one.
Sure. And that'll wrap for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sticking with us for episode 53. It's been all sorts of awesome sauce this week.
Yes.
Some great news, apart from the cancellations of the Symphonic Tour, but other than that, some great stuff. And it's been awesome talking through Resurrection.
Yeah, great.
Some good stuff. So, trivia. Last week, we asked you, which publication does Sarah Jane Smith work for? And one person got it right. Kieran Knight, it was the Metropolitan magazine.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't know. When you asked the question last week, I couldn't think. It was only when I looked at the answer today. I was like, oh, right, yeah.
One person did get in touch and said, is it the unit staff newsletter?
Well, that sounds good.
But no. Trivia for this week. In Enlightenment, what is the name of Captain Stryker's ship?
Oh, yeah.
In Enlightenment, what is the name of Captain Stryker's ship? Answer on the back of a postcard. No, just jump on Twitter and Facebook and tell us the answer. We'll read it out next week. So next week we're going to be doing Boomtown, so we'll stick the usual stuff up on Twitter and Facebook. Give us your thoughts on that one. And if you guys are checking it out on Blu-ray for the first time, give us your thoughts on that as well. What you think versus the DVD. I think I've got it as a... No, have I got it as a digital download? No. I bought this pack off BitTorrent.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah.
I can't remember if that's on there. They did this official thing, didn't they, with BBC America or Worldwide?
I remember that, yeah.
Yes, I'll see if it's on there. But anyways, we'll be reviewing that one. In the meantime, be sure to check out Adam's YouTube channel and Facebook page for the Geeks Handbag. Loads of really cool stuff on there, not just Doctor Who. Awesome source for sci-fi stuff. And I don't know why I'm saying awesome source.
No, but I like it, yeah. It's cool.
Just give it a check out. Really cool stuff on there. Check out the podcast website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all the past episodes from there. And you can also jump off to follow us and like us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And you can also subscribe on iTunes. So until next week, have a fantastic time. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And Alonzi!